You mentioned a couple times there about your joining the Companions of the Cross. You weren't ordained as a Companion of the Cross. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey to joining the community?
Yeah, so I joined the community of the Companions of the Cross in 2001. So I was ordained in 94, so 7 years in. I just had this sense in my heart, that there was still more, right? And I wanted to experience and kind of experiment, if you will, with kind of like this sense of community, right? So I went to see the bishop. Same guy. Same guy. Same guy. Same guy who asked me the question in grade 8. Same guy who ordained me in 94. Same guy. 2001. Bishop Eugene LaRocque, He was our bishop for like 28 years, And he said, well, there's this group of priests in Ottawa called the Companions of the Cross, right? Now, I had heard of the Companions of the Cross, right? Because when I was in seminary, back in the day, we had, I didn't go, but we had a weekly prayer meeting, right? This charismatic kind of prayer meeting, kind of like, well, Companions of the Cross. A little charismatic, kind of thing, And the bishop said to me, well, whatever you're doing ain't working, right? You're the one that came to ask me what I think you should do. So this is what you're going to do. Okie dokie. So, I mean, he didn't say it in such a kind of a derogatory manner, but he was like very blunt, very right to the point, right? Obviously, the Lord's stirring up something in your heart, right? You're asking me for some advice. This is what I'm asking you to do. So go and do it, right? So he gave me 6 months off as a from the diocese, and I lived in community here in Ottawa and in Belleville, and I loved it. I said, yeah, there's this dynamic, there's this enthusiasm, there's this compassion and care and interest, etc. So I said, I'd like to join, and he said, well, just a minute now, like. I was ordained at 27, so I was 33. Not too many of you guys running around. So how about this? He said, I'll make you pastor of St. Anthony's Apple Hill, St. Michael's Monkland, and then you can kind of commute back and forth to Ottawa, close to Ottawa. Which I did. I did that for 5 years. Prayer meetings, annual retreats, spiritual direction, etc. And lived. The Companions of the Cross life as best I could in a diocesan situation. I was then made pastor of Blessed Sacrament in Cornwall after that. And it's from there that I went to see the bishop. Same guy. Same guy. All along the journey, same guy. 2001. And I said, well, I would really like to take the next step and ask your permission to leave the diocese and join the Companions of the Cross officially. And he said, well, you've been faithful, to the spiritual direction and the retreats and the involvement in the community, etc. So it's not some kind of like passing fad. So I gave him my permission. And in January the 11th, 2001, I left and moved to our house of formation in Combermere, Ontario. Now you say, why January the 11th? It's kind of an odd day. Why not January the 1st, right? But there was this thing with Bishop LaRocque. There was always this little extra little test, right? The extra little something, right? Okay, it's the 11th, right? And I went to the barber in Cornwall, Joe's Barber there on 2nd Street, 2nd and Pitt Street, 2nd Street and Pitt Street corner there. And I got number 1 haircut, just buzzed it off my hair. And moved up to the bush, right? Combermere. I told my mother, I'm going to Combermere. She said Father McRae would give homilies at St. Andrews when she was a kid about these poor people in Combermere, Madonna House, starving and freezing to death in the winter. And we'd have clothing drives and food drives. Combermere. I said, well, Mom, it's a bit different than back in the 1940s, kind of thing. But it is quite remote, right? Then that's where I was in my first year, right? Just starting basically you're back to being a brother again. Just, I don't want to say ordinary, but just kind of just one of the brothers, right? There's no special treatment, no special kind of, little plus for those of us a bit older. Nope, that's it. We're all together in the same boat here. And you don't get any exemptions, and you still got to do all the cooking and cleaning and toilets and wood chopping and everything. Just dive into it, learn how to pray. I didn't realize I didn't really know how to pray. Oh, sure, I pray. I just did the prayers, right? Breviary, rosary, mass, got her done, Sure, I was just check the box, right? That. But entering full-heartedly into it, having that experience of the Lord, right? And knowing that it's like the air we breathe and the food we have to eat to survive, right? And learning from the other brothers, right? Again, we are the companions of the cross, right? And there's a nuance in canon law. Canon law, recognizes that religious life is kind of a more challenging life. I don't want to say a higher calling, but it's more challenging life because it's challenging, right? And therein lies the opportunities for growth. It's a sandpaper school of sanctification, right? And there I came face to face with the reality that I'm not a saint, right? And I got a lot of growing to do, but my brothers helped me and still help me.
I didn't know how many years did you go back and forth, like the middle part there. 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
So you would live in Ottawa and then drive out to the.
No, I would live in Apple Hill,
okay,
or Cornwall,
okay,
and commute back and forth twice a month, like for evening. We had prayer meetings twice a month on Fridays, and then spiritual direction once a month, and the annual retreat, and etc. Yeah.
Okay, so you did that straight for 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
Man.
Yep.
That's remarkable. That's a long time. Did you ask him in between those periods to say hey, could we get this show on the road here?
No, I didn't. It was Father Roger actually, who was the superior at the time, who basically said, "Listen, you're going to marry the community or what? Can't be engaged forever. Kind of what are you going to do here, right? Kind of sit in the fence here for 5 years, and you've been faithful for 5 years. So were you going to get married or what?"
And then you went and asked Bishop.
Then I went. Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't presume anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. One of your roles with the community that we've seen a lot of fruit from is your role as a vocations director. So I don't know how many ordinations there's been from when you were a vocations director, but I was wondering if you could share a little bit about your time as a vocations director with the Companions of the Cross, and just a little bit about. For me, it's a bit of mystery for guys who are joining the priesthood and how that all kind of comes together, and the stirrings there and the rumblings in their hearts, and how you journeyed with them as a vocations director. Yeah, could you just share a little bit about your time serving as that?
Yeah, so I was a vocations director in the community from 2010 until 2016. So 6 years living here in Ottawa. And I tell people so often, I said, the whole discernment thing is just a bloody mystery, right? It's a mystery. It's a mystery, right? Now, Father Bob Bedard, our founder, he would say that since discernment has become popular, no one's made a decision. Right? It's kind of it's just, I'm discerning. I'm not, make up your mind kind of thing. Say yes or say no and try it, right? So the Lord just would place young men on my path, and I was, university chaplain for 4 years before that, so had some inkling as to kind of the mentality and the thought process and everything, and I would go to different events. I would loiter with intent. That's what I would do. Loiter with intent, right? To meet these guys, say hello, get to know their names, etc., and again, not forcing anything, not, arm twisting anybody, but just being available, being present. Again, half my job is just showing up. Right? Just show up. Just show up, suit up, and just listen to the Lord. Right? And so these men would ask me, for spiritual direction, and it would, again, not with any, kind of intentionality, but just being available and being present, it would often kind of come around to the whole question of discernment of the priesthood, right? And then inviting them to different events and keeping in contact with them. You don't ever underestimate like the influence you can have on sending a young person mail, like Christmas card, Easter card, calendar, yada yada yada. Like he put this in an envelope, put my name on it, and where did that stamp? Where do you get a stamp anyway? And it comes to my house. Right? I was like, this is amazing. Right? So little things like that, right? Taking them out for lunch, daddy pays, and and then the guys they went into the seminary, and I don't even know how many guys, it doesn't really matter, I suppose, but quite a few of them, kind of journeyed along and, came to that point now, so they're getting ordained, so now again, having that blessing and that privilege of being like a spiritual father to them, so I say kind of jokingly, so I think we have 3 being ordained next year. So we had 4 this year. So it's like, I can see retirement on the horizon. It's just kind of there, kind of thing. But they don't seem to want to buy that idea, so keep you going, kind of thing. So it's just a blessing, right? I didn't put any kind of like, well, there was effort, but there wasn't any kind of like influence, right? So some guys came and some guys went. They didn't stay. Some guys now have entered into marriage, right? So, and marrying them, right, to their wives, and then their families. So it's just a beautiful thing,
One of the
32 years in May, like 32 years. I was like, what, 32 years? I don't even know where the time went, right? It's wild.
It's a good amount of time.
It is.
Not saying you're old or anything.
No,
but, one of the things that you said, I've heard you say before, to young men in particular, is the importance of making your bed in the morning.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could share a little bit about that.
I make my bed every morning. Yes.
Okay.
Do you make your bed every morning?
I do make my bed every morning.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
But you're amazed at the number of people who don't. Just that single act. Now, where'd that come from? I guess part was, growing up at home, kind of, responsibility and disciplines and chores, etc. Seminary, certainly, making her bed, all that kind of thing. So for me, it's kind of like a bellwether indicator of where someone can be at in their life, and get them to start doing that, right? And it's just an important thing, yeah.
Show of hands. I had to answer the question. So does everybody here make their bed?